What if the secret to mastering your mind and overcoming life's challenges was written thousands of years ago? Imagine having a guide that could teach you how to handle stress, face adversity, and live with purpose, no matter what life throws your way. This guide exists, and it comes from the timeless wisdom of Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers. Born into slavery in ancient Rome, Epictetus faced hardships that most of us can only imagine. Despite his circumstances, he refused to let external conditions define his inner freedom. Through philosophy, he transformed his perspective on life, becoming a powerful teacher of resilience, self-discipline, and freedom of the mind. His journey wasn't about lofty theories. It was about practical lessons anyone could use to live a better life. Why are Epictetus's teachings still so relevant? Because they deal with the same challenges we face today: stress, uncertainty, fear of failure, and the struggle to find purpose. His insights cut through the noise, offering clarity and focus in a chaotic world. Epictetus taught that while we can't control what happens around us, we can always control how we respond. That idea alone can be life-changing. In this video, we'll explore 4 powerful life lessons from Epictetus that can reshape your mindset and your approach to daily life. You'll learn how to let go of things beyond your control and focus on what truly matters. Reframe negative situations by mastering your perception. Embrace discipline as the foundation of true freedom. See adversity not as a setback, but as an opportunity to grow stronger. Here's something to think about. How often do you stress over things you can't change? What if, instead, you could train your mind to focus only on what's within your power? By the end of this video, you'll have actionable tools to let go of unnecessary worries and reclaim your inner peace. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." These words capture the essence of his philosophy and the secret to living a life of strength and purpose. So stick around, because this isn't just a history lesson. It's a guide to using Epictetus's timeless wisdom to transform your life today. Let's dive in. Lesson number 1, focus on what you can control. One of the most profound teachings from Epictetus is this: focus on what you can control and let go of what you cannot. This simple principle is at the heart of Stoic philosophy and has the power to transform how you approach stress, conflict, and uncertainty. Epictetus taught that life can be divided into 2 categories: things within our control and things outside our control. Our thoughts, actions, and choices fall within our control. Meanwhile, external events, like other people's opinions, the weather, or even the outcome of our efforts, are beyond our influence. The key to inner peace, he said, is to focus entirely on what's within your power and stop wasting energy on the rest. Consider how much time we spend stressing over things we can't change. Think about a traffic jam. You can't control the cars ahead of you, but you can control how you respond. Do you sit there fuming, or do you use the time to listen to an audiobook or practice patience? The situation doesn't change, but your mindset does. Epictetus put it this way: make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. This doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent. On the contrary, it means directing your energy toward what truly matters. Here's a practical exercise to apply this lesson. The next time you feel stressed, pause and ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, remind yourself to let it go. Instead, focus on what you can do in that moment. Practice acceptance by saying, "This is beyond me, but I choose how I respond." Let's take a real-life example. Imagine you're preparing for an important job interview. You can control your preparation, researching the company, practicing your answers, and dressing appropriately. But you can't control the interviewer's mood or the competition from other candidates. By focusing on your preparation, you'll feel more confident. Worrying about the rest will only drain your energy. This approach applies to relationships too. You can't control how others treat you, but you can control your own actions and whether you maintain your values. Epictetus believed that our reactions shape our experiences far more than the events themselves. By focusing on your response, you reclaim your power. Here's a modern analogy. Imagine carrying two suitcases. One is labeled, "Things I control," and the other, "Things I don't." Which one do you carry with care? Which one do you let go? Holding on to both will weigh you down, but releasing what you can't control will set you free. This principle becomes even more powerful when combined with self-awareness. Epictetus often reminded his students that our thoughts and interpretations drive our emotions. For example, if someone criticizes you, it's not their words that hurt, it's how you interpret them. By focusing on what you can control, your own thoughts, you can prevent unnecessary suffering. The beauty of this lesson is its simplicity. It doesn't require complex tools or techniques, just a daily commitment to shifting your focus. Over time, you'll notice how much lighter you feel when you stop clinging to things you can't change. In a world full of distractions and uncertainties, this teaching from Epictetus is a powerful anchor. It reminds us that peace of mind isn't about controlling the world, it's about mastering ourselves. When you focus on what's within your power, you take back your energy, your clarity, and your peace. Lesson number 2, the power of perception. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This lesson is all about the power of perception, the idea that events themselves are neutral, but our interpretation of them shapes our reality. Think about the last time something upset you. Was it the event itself, or was it the meaning you assigned to it? For example, if someone cuts you off in traffic, it's easy to feel anger. But the act of being cut off doesn't inherently cause anger. It's the story you tell yourself about the driver's intentions that fuels your emotion. What if you reframed it? What if, instead of assuming they're rude, you considered they might be rushing to an emergency? By changing your perception, you change your emotional response. Epictetus emphasized that our mind is incredibly powerful. He taught that no one can truly harm you unless you allow it. As he put it, people are disturbed not by things but by the views they take of them. This means that our happiness or misery often comes from within, not from external circumstances. Let's break this down with a practical example. Imagine receiving critical feedback at work. Your initial reaction might be defensive or hurt. But what if you chose to see the feedback as an opportunity for growth instead of a personal attack? The situation doesn't change, but your perception transforms it from a negative experience into a constructive one. This shift in perspective empowers you to take control of how you feel and how you grow. Here's a simple exercise to practice the power of perception. Pause before reacting. When faced with a challenging situation, take a deep breath and acknowledge your emotions. Question your story. Ask yourself, is this interpretation accurate? Could there be another explanation? Reframe the event. Look for a perspective that serves you better. How can this challenge help you grow or teach you something valuable? This principle is especially useful when dealing with failure. Imagine a setback, like losing out on a promotion or a project falling apart. Instead of seeing it as the end, what if you viewed it as a lesson? Perhaps it's an opportunity to improve your skills or reassess your goals. This mindset doesn't erase the pain of failure, but it helps you move forward with purpose. Epictetus believed that mastering your perception is the key to freedom. If you rely on external events to dictate your happiness, you're at the mercy of the world. But when you take control of how you perceive those events, you reclaim your inner peace. This teaching applies to relationships too. Have you ever been upset because someone didn't respond to your message? The lack of response doesn't inherently mean they're ignoring you. It could be that they're busy or overwhelmed. By reframing your assumption, you avoid unnecessary stress and preserve your mental energy. Here's another analogy. Imagine wearing tinted glasses. If the lenses are red, the world appears red. If they're blue, the world looks blue. The reality hasn't changed, but your perception colors everything you see. By choosing to adjust your mental lenses, you can see the same situation in a more empowering light. The power of perception also helps us deal with uncertainty. In times of doubt or fear, we often imagine the worst-case scenario. But what if we flip the script? Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, imagine what could go right. This isn't blind optimism. It's about training your mind to look for possibilities instead of dwelling on problems. Mastering perception takes practice, but it's one of the most liberating lessons from Epictetus. It reminds us that we're not victims of our circumstances. We're creators of our experiences. When you choose how to perceive the world, you take back your power and open the door to resilience and growth. Lesson number 3, freedom through discipline. At first glance, the idea of freedom through discipline might seem contradictory. How can rules and restrictions lead to freedom? But Epictetus taught that true freedom doesn't come from external circumstances. It comes from mastering yourself. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." To Epictetus, self-discipline was the foundation of a meaningful and liberated life. Without it, we're slaves to our impulses, habits, and emotions. With it, we gain control over our choices, actions, and ultimately, our destiny. Consider this. How often do we let short-term desires derail our long-term goals? Whether it's skipping a workout, procrastinating on a project, or indulging in habits that don't serve us, a lack of discipline creates internal conflict. Freedom, in this sense, isn't about doing whatever we want. It's about doing what's best for us. Epictetus believed that freedom begins with understanding your values. When you're clear about what matters most, discipline becomes a tool to help you stay aligned with those priorities. For example, if health is a core value, choosing to exercise and eat well isn't restrictive. It's empowering. It liberates you from the consequences of neglecting your well-being. Here's a practical way to apply this principle. Define your values. Write down what's most important to you, your health, relationships, personal growth, or career. Set daily habits. Identify small, consistent actions that reflect those values, like setting aside time for reading, exercising, or connecting with loved ones. Track your progress. Reflect on your discipline at the end of each day. Did your actions align with your values? What can you adjust tomorrow? Epictetus also warned against being ruled by external pleasures. He taught that chasing things like wealth, fame, or indulgence often leads to dependency, not freedom. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants, he said. Discipline, then, is about learning to want less and focus on what truly fulfills you. Imagine someone who lacks financial discipline. They spend impulsively, rack up debt, and feel constantly stressed about money. Compare that to someone who practices financial self-control, saving, budgeting, and living within their means. The latter may have fewer luxuries, but they also have more peace of mind. That's freedom through discipline. This principle also applies to emotions. Without discipline, we're often reactive, lashing out in anger, withdrawing in fear, or wallowing in self-pity. But with discipline, we can pause, reflect, and choose how we respond. For example, instead of snapping at a coworker during a stressful moment, you could take a deep breath and address the situation calmly. That choice doesn't just prevent conflict, it strengthens your character. Self-discipline isn't about perfection. Even Epictetus recognized that we're human and prone to mistakes. The goal isn't to eliminate every misstep, but to commit to continuous improvement. Each small act of discipline builds momentum, making it easier to stay on track over time. Here's a helpful analogy. Think of discipline as a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. And just like physical exercise, it's okay to start small. Even a single disciplined choice, like waking up on time or resisting an unnecessary purchase, can set the tone for a productive day. Epictetus also encouraged his students to embrace discomfort as part of self-discipline. He believed that avoiding short-term pain often leads to long-term regret. For instance, skipping a challenging workout feels easier in the moment, but it doesn't serve your long-term health. Discipline teaches you to prioritize what's meaningful over what's convenient. In a world full of distractions, Epictetus's lesson on discipline is more relevant than ever. When you master yourself, you're no longer at the mercy of impulses or external pressures. You gain the freedom to live intentionally, aligned with your values and purpose. Freedom through discipline isn't about restriction, it's about liberation. It's about breaking free from the chains of procrastination, indulgence, and inconsistency. As Epictetus taught, the disciplined life is the truly free life. Lesson number 4, the role of adversity. Epictetus believed that adversity wasn't something to avoid, it was something to embrace. He taught that challenges and hardships are opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Difficulties are things that show a person what they are, he said. In other words, our true character is revealed and shaped by how we respond to life's struggles. Think about the hardest moments in your life. Were they purely negative, or did they teach you something valuable? Perhaps a failure pushed you to develop new skills, or a loss deepened your appreciation for what you have. Adversity, as painful as it can be, often contains hidden lessons. Epictetus compared life to a wrestling match. A wrestler doesn't become strong by avoiding challenges, they grow by facing resistance. Similarly, when we encounter obstacles, we have the chance to build emotional and mental strength. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What can I learn from this?" One of the most empowering lessons from Epictetus is that adversity is neutral. It's how we perceive and respond to it that matters. A difficult situation doesn't define you, your response does. For example, imagine losing your job. It's easy to see this as a setback, but what if it's an opportunity to pursue a more fulfilling career? Reframing the situation transforms despair into hope. Here's a practical way to apply this principle. When facing a challenge, identify the lesson or opportunity within it. Focus on what you can control, your actions, your attitude, and your effort. Remind yourself that growth often comes from discomfort. Epictetus also taught that adversity can help us develop virtues like patience, courage, and perseverance. He believed that struggles are like weights in a gym. They're difficult, but they strengthen us. For example, dealing with a difficult person can teach you patience. Facing failure can teach you humility and persistence. Every challenge is a chance to practice the virtues that define a strong character. This mindset can also help us face fear. Epictetus said, "What ought one to say then as each hardship comes? I was practicing for this. I was training for this." By viewing life as preparation, we can approach difficulties with greater confidence. Instead of being overwhelmed, we see each struggle as part of our growth journey. A great analogy for adversity is fire. Fire doesn't destroy everything it touches. Some things, like gold, become purer in the flames. Similarly, adversity can refine and strengthen us if we allow it to. It's not about avoiding the fire, it's about letting it transform you. Adversity also teaches us to appreciate life's blessings. When things come easily, we often take them for granted. But when we've struggled to achieve something, we value it more deeply. For example, working hard to rebuild after a setback makes the success feel sweeter. Gratitude grows when we've endured difficulty. Epictetus's teachings remind us that adversity isn't a punishment, it's a gift in disguise. Of course, this doesn't mean we have to enjoy suffering, but by shifting our perspective, we can find purpose in pain and turn obstacles into stepping stones. Here's a modern application. Think about a recent challenge you faced. Did it teach you anything or lead to unexpected opportunities? Reflecting on past adversities can help you see how they've shaped your growth. It also prepares you to approach future difficulties with a more resilient mindset. When you start to see adversity as an ally instead of an enemy, you unlock a powerful mindset. Life will always have challenges, but as Epictetus taught, those challenges can become the foundation of your strength and wisdom. By embracing adversity, you don't just survive, you thrive. Epictetus's teachings remind us that the quality of our lives isn't determined by what happens to us. It's shaped by how we think, act, and respond. By embracing his 4 powerful lessons, you can cultivate resilience, clarity, and purpose in your daily life. Focus on what you can control and free yourself from unnecessary stress. Master the power of perception and transform how you experience challenges. Embrace discipline as the foundation for true freedom. See adversity not as a setback, but as an opportunity for growth. These principles aren't just ancient wisdom, they're tools for thriving in today's complex and unpredictable world. But here's the key: it's not enough to understand these lessons. You need to practice them. Start small. Maybe today, you can reframe a stressful situation or take one step toward greater discipline. With consistent effort, these practices will become second nature. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." So what kind of person do you want to become? The choice and the power are yours. If this video resonated with you, please like, comment, and share your favorite lesson below. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Together, let's continue to learn, grow, and live intentionally.